Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Hello. Good morning. Camera's on. Right? All right, so now that Felix has joined us, we can start the class. Let's see. We have Elda, Jacqueline, Arlene, Benjamin, Brittany, Felix, Fallon, Neely, what's up? Carlos, Nina's dropping 1,000 questions, I hope. And Nidia is trying to connect the audio. All right, Felix is already dropping a question. Cool. Review quizzes for chapter 29 would not open. See? And open. Check that real quick for you. Chapter 29. Felix, try again because I have it all open. There's no restrictions to it. If you can, just try again. There are no restrictions to it. I just dropped it here as well. Felix, just drop right now in the Zoom chat if you want. Try to open there. All right, so are there any questions you guys like to address? Nina, I'm surprised you haven't dropped anything yet, but you're still not showing up, so I assume it. Oh, there you go. I spoke too soon. Questions? Jesus. So we did not do the very first question. We didn't do the math chapter yet. It's coming after, so it's tough to go over this. But front foot is this number. This is the side. This is the front. This is width. This is length. So front foot would be this. So Nina, if you're trying to calculate the front foot, would be $400 times 240. Okay, and this number is just extra. But anyway, we didn't go through math yet. when you say religious members in the fair housing exemptions, do you mean like actual church members, or you mean denomination? Church members. So like I was saying, there's different types of gym, but they're still gyms, right? And again, not to get offensive with the whole comparing a gym to religion, but the point is, can the members of one gym go work out at the other gym? Unless they're members there as well, the answer usually is no. So church members, we're talking about the ones that go attend this church, and this church decided to, or organization decided to buy property that was intended for the members of church. Is or was it common to discriminate against people with military service in housing? Well, you have to understand, just like employment, there's a protection now for military, because just like employment, when they're deployed, who pays? You know, so there's a high risk for the landlord when renting to people that are in the military. Complaint with HUD is 1 year. 1 year, not 5. 1 year. And then federal lawsuit, okay, is 2 years. So complaints with HUD, 1 year. Federal lawsuit, 2 years. When it's regarding discrimination. When it's regarding discrimination only. What's considered discriminatory in marketing? Using or showing a specific group in an ad. So if you go back to the discrimination chapters, there's different things that could be considered discriminatory. So if we are addressing a particular group, let's say of people, particular group of people or class of people in the ad, we're advertising towards them or excluding them, right? It is discrimination. Like, for instance, if it's based on race, if it's based on religion, national origin, gender, disabilities, right? That's why we cannot type stuff like walking distance, right? Walking distance to something. What about the people that cannot walk, right? So they're saying that this is not appropriate for them. If we're talking about for Christians only, what happened to everybody else? Or no Muslims, then why? You know, so we're attacking a particular group of people or class of people in the ad by either saying it's specifically for them and excluding everybody else, or excluding them specifically and allowing everybody else. So that will be discrimination. How do older person communities advertise if you can't say mature individuals? You'll clearly say seniors. So older persons and mature, because after the age of 18, technically you're an adult, technically you're mature, right? Even though some people only mature once they reach the age of 40 or 50 or maybe never, right? But technically after 18, you are considered mature, right? Two different things. As far as leases, if you don't get your deposit back within 30 days after the lease expires, and double the amount of the deposit, not the interest. If the landlord does not give you the money, it's double the deposit, not the interest. The interest is what earned over time. The deposit is the money that's owed to you. Okay. Felix says just keeps buffering. Okay. Is it still buffering? Internet. But it's also probably the rain. It's raining a lot, and just like people, internet tries to, you know, Anyway. All right, so what if you live past the initial lease? Do you still get the initial deposit back when you move? Well, I hope you live past your initial lease. But if you stay in the property after the initial lease, right? So if you stay in the property after the initial lease for another year or two or so, do you still get the deposit? Yes, it's still your money. Deposit is deposit. It's not the landlord's money. It's yours. So the lease expires. You could either self-renew or turn into a month-to-month. It does not matter. Interest is still accrued, and the deposit is still yours, no matter what. Okay? I mean, no matter what. Unless you damage the property or unless you fail to pay somehow, then the deposit is yours. Okay? That's it? Okay. All right. No more questions. Cool. Miracle. Miracles do happen. All right, guys. So we're gonna go into chapter 30. So other practices in New Jersey. Now, this is a 16-page chapter. A lot of this stuff we already talked about, obviously. Just a few things are Jersey specific, as you know. So we're going to use this mainly as a review and then address the differences in New Jersey. So for instance, the first thing we have is ownership and conveyance. And we're going to start with dower and courtesy. You guys know by now what dower and courtesy is, right? Dower and courtesy is the right that the husband has when the wife dies, the right that the husband has to acquire the shares, or vice versa. When the husband dies, the wife has the right to acquire those shares. So husband and wife 50-50, we own everything together. Once you die, I get your 50. Once I die, you get my 50, right? Now, in New Jersey, dower and courtesy rights were abolished. As of May 28, 1980, we no longer have the right to dower and courtesy. So if you purchase a property while married before May 28, 1980, it still falls under dower and courtesy. Anything you purchased after May 28, 1980 no longer falls under dower and courtesy. So it's treated as joint possession or joint tenancy. Okay? So joint possession, if you guys remember, we talked about tenancy by the entirety, right? Tenants by the entirety. There was tenants in severalty. We had tenants in common. We had joint tenants and tenants by the entirety, right? The joint possession is very similar to joint tenants, but this is the one that's used for husband and wife, and that's tenancy by the entirety. That means we entirely own together the property. It's not me, it's not you, it's us. It's joint possession by the entire. We are one. That's what we're trying to say. Okay? So, when dower and courtesy were abolished, legislator created the right of joint possession, wherein both spouses have the right to possess their main residence during marriage, even if the residence was acquired by only one spouse. Okay? So what we're saying is, again, if it's the property that we live in, the main marital residence, the property where we live, then we have the right to joint possession, treated like tenancy by the entirety, that if I die, you get my half. If you die, I get your half. But only the main residence. Okay? Come on in.
Good morning, everybody. Coffee time.
Mr. Mario, everyone. This is the time you clap your hands. Super Mario.
How are we day?
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. When we bring guests, that's it. You guys go like, whoo, whoo. Oh, there you go. All right, cool. So, main residence, main marital residence is where we live. It does not matter if it was before May 28, 1980 or after May 28, 1980. It does not matter. What matters is this is where we live. it does not matter if it's owned by both or owned by one. What matters is this is where we live. All right, you guys remember this from Dower and Courtesy? Okay. Marital residence belongs to both spouses. So, what does that mean? You need to know Dower and Courtesy, because if the property was purchased while Dower and Courtesy was in effect, then both parties must sign the document no matter who owns it. If the property was purchased after Dower and Courtesy was abolished, then maybe just one person needs to sign. If it's the main marital residence, no matter what, both spouses need to sign. Okay? So both spouses must sign. Thumbs up? Great. Hey, Meredith, decided to join us. How are you? Good morning. All right, next. Licensees handling property sales for married couples need to know if the property is owned by the owner or both spouses, or when the property was purchased, so it has to obtain the appropriate signatures on the sales contract. So we need to know, when did you buy the house, right? Are you married? If you're not married, no problem, but if you're married, when did you buy it? Oh, it was before May 28, 1980. You're on the deed, it only shows your name. Just to let you know, there used to be Dower and Courtesy, so your spouse has to sign this document. Consult with the attorney before we proceed. Simple. Always refer to the attorneys. Condominium Act. You guys remember condos and co-ops, right? So condominiums, they fall under the Horizontal Property Act and the Condominium Act. So these are the two acts that regulate condominiums. To create a condominium, hold on, I have a question from Nina. What if their spouse passed away? So if a spouse passes away, there's something called probate, right? And we went over this before. When there's probate, then the immediate survivor, usually the surviving spouse, usually acquires it either by will, if the will says it goes to the spouse, or it goes to the heirs. If the person is not named in the deed, then we're going to determine again, is it the marital residence? If so, then the wife acquires automatically. The surviving spouse acquires automatically. If not, then it goes to the heirs. Okay, so there's law of descent and distribution. Okay, very important. Law of descent and distribution is the state law of how to distribute things if there's no will. If there's a will, then the will determines who gets what. But if it's the marital residence, it does not matter who's on the deed. The property goes straight to the survivor. Okay. So back to condominium. To create a condominium, the property property owner must record a declaration or master deed. If you guys remember, there's a master deed that covers the whole condominium, and then we sell each individual unit through their own deeds. The master deed must include, or this declaration must include, the condominium name, including the word condominium, a legal description of the property, the land or survey or graphic description of the improvements, including common elements, location, dimension of units and easements, each unit's letter, name, or number. What are the undivided interests in the common elements that the people are going to have? How are we going to share the common expenses? We usually call this the HOA fees. The name of the receiver of service of process. So if you are to sue someone in the HOA, who are you going to sue? So somebody must be named as the receiver. The bylaws, which are all the rules for the condominium, and how can we amend the bylaws? Usually by General Assembly. Condominium conversion. Let's say you're a landlord and you're done with being a landlord. I don't want to be a landlord, right? But if I sell, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this, but when you buy stuff in bulk, let's say this is the whole building. When you buy stuff in bulk, the price is usually cheaper because you're buying in bulk, right? So let's say $10 million, right? That's the bulk price of the building. But if I sell the building by the unit, right? These are a bunch of units. If I sell the building by the unit and each unit is 200,000, as an example, then maybe I make 12 million by selling them individually rather than selling in bulk. So as a landlord, I don't want to sell the bulk building. I want to convert it to a condo and then sell each unit individually. Maybe that's the intention here, all right? So if that's my intention, if that's what I want to do, convert it to condos so I can maximize my return, I must be in compliance with the state laws, right? So I must give every tenant a notice of the intent to convert, a full plan of conversion, and a 3-year notice to quit or vacate the rental unit. So if you live, let's say you guys live in the building, I'm the landlord, you guys are my tenants, you live in the building, and I intend to convert. I must let you guys know, hey, 3 years from now, I don't know if you'll be here or not, but I'm just giving you the heads up. 3 years from now, I'm converting all these units to condos. So 2 things can happen. I give you the opportunity to buy a unit, or you have to get out. You choose. This notice, the notice of intent and conversion must be sent by certified mail at least 60 days prior to giving the notice to quit. So we're looking at 3 years and 2 months before the conversion can actually happen. Okay? 3 years and 2 months before the conversion can actually happen. Now, some people are protected. Some people cannot be forced to move. Senior citizens, for instance, they cannot be forced to move. So if my building, hey Ruth, good morning. Sorry, I just saw Ruth on YouTube. What was I saying? So if I intend to convert this to condos and I have senior citizens and they meet these qualifications, they cannot be forced to move out. This only happens for condo conversion. If the senior citizens or people with disability, if their income is lower than 3 times the average income of their county, or no more than $50,000 or $50,000, whichever is higher, if they had lived in the building for 1 year with a lease that's longer than 1 year, so they've been there for 1 year and they have a valid one year lease, so that means at least 2 years commitment in the building, then they cannot be evicted. They must be at least the age of 62 years or older, right? The building must have at least 5 rental units. It used to be 10. Now they brought it down to 5. Hey, Stacy. Morning. And like I said, disabled people also meet the same thing. If they meet the same income standards, length of the lease, and number of units as senior citizens, if they're unable to work because of their disability, or if they are veterans with at least 60% or more service-related disability. So what we're trying to say is, if you intend to convert, remember this, for state exam, if it's a condo conversion, people that are seniors or have disabilities might be protected and cannot be kicked out because of the conversion. Okay? So if they meet these qualifications, they're allowed to stay up to 40 years. They can continue in that building for up to 40 years. Okay? All right, crazy word. What does this crazy word mean? You guys should know this by now. Crazy word. What does it mean? Let me know in the chats. YouTube, let me know. Correct, Nina. All right, so YouTube, let me know. And Zoom, what does it mean? Conveyancing. Amy answered, Fallon answered. Anybody else? What does it mean, the word conveyance? Let me go back to it. What does this mean? This one you have to know by heart. One of those words I keep on repeating since day one. Correct. Okay. Conveyance is transfer. Convey means to transfer. Think of it like conveying belts. Conveying belt, what does a conveying belt do? It transfers from here to here, right? You put on the conveying belt and that thing moves. Transfers from one place to another. Conveyance, transfer. Conveyancing, transferring. Very, very important that you guys remember because it keeps on being repeated. So, under conveyancing, we have deeds. And in chapter 6, we talked about validity of deeds already. The grantor must be 18 years of age or older and must be of sound mind when signing it. Deeds require an acknowledgement, right? I just did this chapter yesterday in the evening. Deeds require an acknowledgement in certain states. Acknowledgement means notarized. State of New Jersey does not. State of New Jersey does not require that deeds are acknowledged. Does not require. But the state does require to be acknowledged if you want to record it. Okay? State of New Jersey does not require the deed to be notarized or acknowledged, but they do require, if you want to put it into public records, must be acknowledged. So the same thing I asked yesterday to my evening students, I'm going to ask you guys right now. When is the right time, or when do you believe would be the right time to have this acknowledged? When would be the right time to have this notarized? First of all, because the seller is the one that signs it. The acknowledgement is from the grantor, not the grantee. So when should we get the deed notarized? Let me know in the chat. When should the deed be notarized? When should the deed be notarized? And Nina says, during closing. Absolutely. Before we move, closing, Felix, perfect. Guys, before we move forward, I don't know if I'm going to see the seller ever again. So if the seller is the one that must notarize, right? The seller is the one signing the document. Then when should we get this recorded? Notarized? Right away. Should get it notarized right away at closing. Absolutely. Okay. Now, life safety features. In New Jersey, when there's a transfer or before the transfer can happen, New Jersey requires that every 1 to 2 family dwellings be certified by local government to contain at least 1 carbon monoxide detector, appropriate number of smoke detectors, and at least 1 fire extinguisher. So in the state of New Jersey, the requirement is at least 1 carbon monoxide detector, right? The appropriate number of smoke detectors within the each municipality has their own regulations for that, and 1 approved fire extinguisher. Transfer tax. If you guys remember, when we sell the property, the seller has to pay what's called the realty transfer fee, or the transfer tax, or the documentary stamp that says, hey, property was sold, right? So I need to record that I'm no longer part of it, right? So every state has their own pricing. I remember mentioning this to you when we talked about documentary stamps. Every state has their own pricing of how much you have to pay for that transfer. Now, in the state exam, for New Jersey at least, you don't have this question about how to calculate it. You don't have it. So there are tables, right? And just so you guys know, the tables go by ranges of the sale. So if the property is over 350, or if it's not over 350, it's taxed this way, right? Or this way. So I wouldn't be too focused on it. What I do want to remind you is that senior citizens, disabled persons, or low moderate income, they have exemptions. So instead of paying $5 per every 500, they pay like 50 cents per every 500. So there's a huge discount to help senior citizens, disabled persons, or low moderate income housing transfers. If you guys ever want to know how to calculate it, just go here, click on this. By the way, they made a mistake here. They doubled it for some reason. But click on this or copy this from the HTTPS and on, and you can put the value of your house and know how much you would have to pay if you were to sell. All right? But not a big deal. Next, New Jersey Land Use Development. So we're going to talk about land use, environmental regulations, Pinelands Protection Act developments, and building regulations. We've spoken about all of them except this one. So this should be easy. One of the things we have is ISRA, and ISRA is for industrial. So when you see the acronym ISRA, right, it's for industrial property. And the thing about industrial is that at transfer, it is required at transfer that we clean up and remediate all industrial and commercial sites prior to closing. Okay? So what we're saying is, and I think if you guys think about it, it's common sense. Every factory, no matter what it is, every type of manufacturing involves chemicals, right? Even bakeries have chemicals. You know why? Because if they have machines, machines have oil and have other chemicals in order for the machines to work. So the bakery part, the baking part of it itself might not have chemicals, but the machines that they use to process all of it have chemicals. So it doesn't matter what type of industrial site it is, it must be tested. It must be tested prior to closing. And cleanups and remediation must occur again prior to closing. So listen, I contaminated, but I'm going to give it to you clean so you can contaminate your own. That's what it is. There's a clean transfer. There's a clean transfer. I clean up my mess. Now you deal with your mess. That's pretty much what it is. Clean transfer. So for industrial, they must clean up prior to closing. They even have that song, the clean up, you know that song, everybody? You're already singing it, I see. So that's what they do for industrial sites. Believe it or not, it's the only way I can get my kids to clean up. Even the older kids. I just embarrass them when I start singing that song. Anyway. Wetlands protection. This is common sense. If it says wetlands, we're talking about land by the water. Right? Either lake or by the shore. But the Wetlands Protection Act and the Clean Water Act, they are to protect right here, sorry. They are to protect pretty much all the tidal waterways, right, as we were saying. And the Freshwater Act is to protect docks, piers, and all that stuff. So in both of these, when you see Wetlands Act, Not going to go in detail because they will not ask all of it. But Wetlands Act, remember that we need permits. That's what it is. Wetlands Act, we need permits. So if you want to do anything, by water, like excavation, manufacturing, right, dredging, anything, pipelines, anything you want to do by water, whether it's the shore water or if it's river water, if it's by the water, you need to get permits from the EPA. EPA. Ruth is laughing. I don't know, Ruth, do you do the same thing? Do you have kids? Do the same thing? Because I'm pretty sure that the laughing was regarding the kids. The only way they get to do stuff, you got to embarrass them. That's what it is. Hold on just 1 second. Somebody's having difficulty, or this is having difficulty joining Zoom. I see she's with us. She's on the list. Teaching and being tech support is not easy. All right, so where were we? Oh, natural effects that affect land and ownership. Now, rivers, lakes, and coastlines frequently serve as property boundaries in New Jersey. Natural forces can cause them to move, resulting in questions about ownership and usage. When water shifts, deposits and erosion are common effects when the water shifts. Owners of land with water boundaries should be aware of these processes, which include, one of them is accretion. What I want you guys to see, where it says accretion, I want you to think of addition, because it's an increase in land. That means you're gaining land. When you see the word accretion, it's addition. You are gaining land because the water is bringing a metal, natural metal called, well, all metals are natural, but bringing a metal called alluvion, right? And that gradual depositing, right, over time turns into it becomes property for you. So you gain property. Less water, more property. The next one we have is reliction. Now, reliction is a gradual increase in land due to receding of a body of water or shift in the course of a river or stream. The land thus uncovered is regarded as alluvion and treated according to the rules of accretion. So reliction is like draining water, right? There's less water, or it got out of the way, and now you have land, right? So reliction is the draining water. Avulsion is the change of the stream. So if there's a change in the stream, like a movement, right? It's going this way and then it's going to go that way as a movement, for instance, or the actual shift of the waters to another place, then the boundary lines do not change. Because it's still a river and because it's still not navigable, the property line is still the middle of the stream. Your property line does not change because the river, the flow of the water changed. Okay? See? Happy houses. Do you see the smile? Anyway, I know you guys were thinking about it. And then we have erosion. Erosion is loss. Erosion is loss of land because of operations water or wind. You can lose land. All right. Environmental regulations, we're going to go real quickly over it. Flood Hazard Control Act. Obviously, if the property is in a flood zone, just like federal flood zone acts, you have to have, you cannot build certain things that could affect even more or bring potential floodings. Coastal Area Facility Review of CAFR, we're going to skip, or Development Act. Again, anything about water is what you can and cannot do to build, to alter, to excavate, to manufacture, right? You can and cannot do. We have the Highlands Water Protection. On this one, where it says Water Protection and Planning Act, we're talking about drinking water. So obviously protecting the drinking water. Drinking water. Okay? And then we come to, and we're going to stop for a second here, New Jersey Pinelands Protection Act. New Jersey Pinelands Protection Act. When you see pinelands, if you see pinelands, remember that the Pinelands Protection Act is to protect pine oak forests, cedar swamps, and surface and groundwater that provides a unique or rare habitat for rare and endangered plant and animal species. So across New Jersey, there's different pinelands area. I do recommend, if you guys never been to it, I mentioned this in my evening class, the previous evening class. If you've never been to any pineland area, it's like a different world. It's like you're not in New Jersey, right? Certain areas, literally, it's like a resort. When you go to those resorts, islands, whatever, and they tell you, take you touring, and you're like in the middle of the woods, and you're like, are we still in the same place? This is it, right? I personally have not been. Like I said in my previous class, I've watched so many pictures and videos of people doing, hey, I'm taking a tour to Pinelands, particular area. And you have rare, endangered plants and animal species, as well as beautiful forests and rivers. All right, but definitely go there if you can. So divisions, developments. All right, next we have the New Jersey land sales. So New Jersey land sales, obviously selling land, not selling real estate, right? So you're selling land. Usually when you sell land, there's a purpose that comes with it. And the main purpose of selling land is for development. So if you are selling land, then you need to register that land with the intention. So if we're doing condominiums, co-ops, subdivided land with more than 100 lots, subdivided property with managing homeowners association, planned unit developments, townhouses, retirement communities, and so on. So as you can tell, it's large developments. It's not building one house, it's large developments. If you're doing large developments, then you need to register the common interests. If you guys remember, we need to register what's called a public offering statement, and we need to register with the Department of Community Affairs. Okay? Now, because this falls under the interstate laws as well, very similar, where you have a minimum of 7 days to rescind or cancel. So again, if we're talking about, guys, if we're talking about large developments, right? So if the sale of land with the intention of developing, or if it's out-of-state property that's being advertised to New Jersey residents, they fall within the same act. There must be a public offering statement registered with the Department of Community Affairs that tells the people, hey, if you buy this unit, this is what's going to come with the unit. This is what we expect to develop, right? And after you inspect it properly, if you don't like it, you have 7 days to cancel. If you guys remember, in New Jersey, we've got 3 business days to cancel a contract, right? If it's a large development, I got to give at least 7 days. At least 7 days, calendar days, by the way. Calendar days to cancel. Okay? All right, Nina, just gave you a link. So go there and it gives you pictures and all the locations and what to do, what to visit, and how they're protected. They even have berry farms. They have like, the pinelands, so going back to pinelands, I just saw your question. Going back to pinelands, they even have protected, again, plants, berry farms. You cannot endanger, you cannot build, you cannot do anything that will alter or endanger the natural resources that it has. So you go there literally just to appreciate nature. Okay, some of them, some of the areas, just like farmers around the area, they even gift you whatever they have. So if they have any type of berries, some places even pumpkins, they just give it to you. So around these areas, around the pinelands protection, there's a lot of farmers, protected places. There's a lot of farmers, and we got enough for ourselves. Anything extra, go ahead, take it. Put as much money as you'd like to, or none if you don't want to. Right? Really cool. All right, building regulations. We have something called the Uniform Construction Code. Now, under the Uniform Construction Code, pretty much says that the any alteration, any building alteration, renovation, whatever, must require a permit. So anytime you do any change to a building, you require a permit is required, and this is required through the Department of Community Affairs as well. And one of the things that's required for brand new constructions, right, is like a manufacturer's warranty. They call it warranty and builder's registration. So if it's a brand new construction, the builder must register the new construction with a warranty or a guarantee of up to 10 years. Okay? What does that cover? It covers just like a manufacturer's warranty for electronics. It covers against the material if it breaks, workmanship, the work I've done, and defects along the way. So up to 10 years, right? So usually structural, so the structure of the house has 10-year warranty, and then other things like appliances might have 3, might have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, depending on the builder. But the structure must have at least 10 years. So you have up to 10-year warranty. And they have to register and be responsible for it. That's what you need to remember right now. Safety requirements, we just mentioned earlier. We mentioned it again. If it's a 1 to 2 family, you need to have at least 1 smoke detector at each level of the dwelling, 1 smoke detector within 10 feet of each bedroom, 1 carbon monoxide detector, and 1 fire extinguisher. Now, every municipality has the right to ask for more. Here, this one right here, smoke detectors, in Newark, as an example, they don't require 1 smoke detector within 10 feet of each bedroom. They require 1 smoke detector in each bedroom. And it must be hardwired with battery backups. So this is state. And then your municipality might have different requirements for the building of a property and the safety requirements for the building of property. Okay, so again, each municipality may require additional detectors and or extinguishers as they see fit. Now, that was for 1 and 2 family residences, right? If it's 3 or more, this is what you need to remember. If it's 3 or more, it falls under the hotel and motel multiple dwelling. Okay? So remember, 3 or more falls under multiple dwelling. Hotel and motel multiple dwelling. And it doesn't say here, but with 3 or more units, the state inspects your property once every 5 years. If it's hotels and motels, they inspect once every 3 years. Make sure that you are in compliance with the state laws when it's multiple dwellings. So 1 to 2 family, just to recap real quick, 1 to 2 family requires 1 of each, at least, in each unit. If it's multiple, like 3 or more, they fall under the hotel and motel multiple dwellings, so multiple units, health and safety law. Any questions so far? All right, I see Meredith is back. Meredith, let me know if you were able to join finally. You can hear me. Got 3 people watching on YouTube. Let me know if you guys have any questions as well. Get here to help. All right, Meredith says yes. Thank you. Perfect. I'm assuming you have an iPhone? All right, I just want to mess with iPhone people. How did I guess? The answer was yes on WhatsApp. Yes. You guys don't learn. Don't learn. Everything has to be special for iPhones. I'm compatible with the world. You guys want to be unique? Sure. Don't complain later. All right. Anyway. Pay like 10 times more to have all these difficulties. All right, finance and taxation. I was just thinking out loud. I'm sorry, Meredith. I'm really just thinking out loud, and I didn't realize that the mic was on. So, finance and taxation, mortgage, finance, taxation. So we already talked about all this stuff. One of the things that I like in the wording in this book compared to other books that I've taught is it says clearly, a mortgage is not a loan. What is a mortgage? Who can tell me? What is a mortgage? I told you I'm using the New Jersey portion to reviews. So what is a mortgage? If it's not a loan, then what is it? A mortgage is not a loan. So what is it? YouTube, participate. There's no wrong answers. Check. Balance says promissory note. So the loan is a promissory note, but what is a mortgage? Security instrument or collateral. Okay, anybody else? Ruth says it's a pledge. Yes. Ruth even says it twice to make sure that I understand that it's a pledge. Anybody else? Come on, guys. Felix just copied Ruth. Okay, whatever Ruth that says, I'm going to put it here. Pledge. Anybody else? What is a mortgage? What is a mortgage? If it's not a loan, then what is it? I'm not saying that you guys are wrong. I just want more answers. More participation. Exam is coming. So show me what you got. Again, no wrong answers. If the mortgage is not a loan, then what is it? Jeff, thank you for joining us. Now you can answer. Mortgage is not a loan. Let me show you, since you're here. The book says mortgage is not a loan. So what is it? If it's not a loan, then what is it? Amy, great answer. Oh, I'm sorry. Great answer from Amy. All right. So here's the thing. A mortgage is a collateral for the loan. Meredith, try not to answer in the WhatsApp group because then they don't know what you're talking about. If you can, answer in the Zoom chat. If not, everybody, I'm telling you, everybody's going to be confused on WhatsApp. They don't know what's happening. Okay? But agreement between you and the lender, well, so is the promissory note. See, the mortgage equals house. Because a house is the collateral. Okay? So this is a lien against the house. Okay? The mortgage is a lien against the house. And there's two things when it comes to promissory note, to loans. When there's a loan to purchase house, right? So to purchase a house, it comes with two documents. One is the mortgage. The other one is the promissory note. This document represents the house as collateral, and this one represents the money that was lent to you. All right? So as it clearly says, a mortgage is not a loan. The promissory note is the loan. The mortgage is the house. And if you don't pay the loan, they can come and get the house. All right? So mortgage is not the loan. Mortgage is, let me go to what Ruth said before. Mortgage is a pledge of the house. We're pledging the house that if we don't pay the loan, go ahead, take it. That's what I'm pledging. I'm committing my house in exchange for that loan. If I don't pay, come get it. If I pay, you have to release the loan. That's what it is. Okay? All right, Miss Principal, you're not working today? Kinda? Okay. Jeff told you that I talked about you yesterday. That's why you joined? Okay, got it. Cool. Jeff went on and say, hey, Bruno made fun of you. Come to class. All right. So mortgage is not a loan. It's the promise to pay a loan by using real property as collateral for a loan. Again, one of the typical provisions, right? That's why we don't make mortgage payments. We make mortgage loan payments. So one of the provisions in the promissory notes for a mortgage loan is that if the borrower fails to make the payments on the loan, as set forth in the loan contract, the lender can begin foreclosure proceedings and seek court-ordered foreclosure sale to recoup or recover the balance of the loan. Now, interest rates. One of the things that we're going to talk about interest rate real quick here in New Jersey is the usury limits. Now, what is usury? Usury is being used and abused by the bank, meaning they're charging you a really high rate of interest knowing that you cannot afford to pay it back, right? So usury in New Jersey is maximum of 16% for contracts. Maximum of 16%. So if an institutional lender, like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and so on, is lending you money, the max that they can charge doesn't even fall into this. This is usually for private lenders. See, it doesn't say here, but I'm going to tell you. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, TD Bank, and all the institutional lenders, they're exempt from usury limits. But if I lend money to you, I can only charge a maximum of 16%. Again, with several exceptions. The exceptions are several exceptions. One is for primary residence. If you're buying my house, I can charge you up to 30% if you're buying my house. If I'm giving you a second mortgage, then I know it doesn't say here, I'm just giving you examples. If I'm giving you a second mortgage on the purchase of the house, I can charge 30% on the first $50,000, and then anything beyond that, no more than 16%, if it's my own house. Now, prepayments. Prepayments. In New Jersey, there's no prepayment penalty. If you guys remember when we talked about federal law, right, the national portion, one of the things that we talked about was that some loans did not have prepayment, like FHA or VA have no prepayment penalty. So if you want to, bless you. So if you want to pay the FHA loan sooner, you can. You don't pay penalties. A conventional loan, you could be able to charge penalties. But New Jersey says no loans, right? No loans. If they're mortgage loans, there's no prepayment fees. None. So you cannot charge prepayment penalties. Guys, you win the Mega Millions tonight, the Powerball, whatever it is tonight. Right? You win it. Congratulations. You want to pay off your mortgage tomorrow? Go ahead. You don't have to wait the whole 30 years. Does that make sense? All right, Amy got happy for a second. Yeah, I'm winning. If you do, remember I'm the one that wished you would win. All right, so remember me. All right. Like, my business partner is the funniest thing. Like, Pedro did that to me yesterday. I went to play because I always play for fun, not a like I gotta go play. Like, once in a while, I go play. So I went to play, and the guy, I asked him, "You don't want to play?" He goes like, "For what? If you win, I win." I'm like, "What do you mean?" "Well, it's 50-50. So I went to play. I came back, and the stubs that I had from, I don't know, like 2-3 weeks ago had $3. And I told him, I just made $3. He goes like, where's my 150? Like, excuse me? I played, not you. Right? Yeah, but I said 50-50. I said, okay, fine. I reinvested the money then. Because I played again. So that's what it is. I didn't give him anything. But these business partners, they think like it's business. We're not partners. It's business partners, right? Do you think you're entitled to everything? These people. So, but anyway, you, Amy, though, if you do win 50-50, because I wished upon you, period. Next, recording a lien discharge. So, if you finish paying off the mortgage, the bank or the creditor, right, the lender, must release the mortgage. Because remember, the mortgage is a grip or a pledge on your property, right, a lien. So if the lien is there, but you finish paying it off, they must release that lien. So they need to record the lien discharge. The bank needs to do that. All right? Next we have, and we're going to spend a little bit of time here, we have the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, or NJHMFA. There's a lot of, and I'm going to explain what it is in a second. But there's a lot of nationwide programs. There's a lot of state programs. There's a lot of county and municipal level programs to assist home buyers, right? When you're buying a house. This is one of them. Now, the program is applicable for buyers of 1 to 4 family housing, but is not applicable to investors. A first-time home buyer is someone who has not owned a home in the past 3 years. Just in case somebody's wondering, can I be a first-time home buyer again? Can I take advantage of the programs again? Well, if it's been more than, you have not owned the property more than 3 years, then you're a house virgin again. The first time again. Simple. All right? And there's great programs for that. Like I said, there's a bunch of programs. The New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, they have all these programs for you. Look right here. One of them is the Home Seeker program, provides $10,000 for first-time home buyers and veterans to use for their down payments. So state of New Jersey has money set aside, $10,000 for down payments or for closing costs. Pick one. But you have to be buying a house in certain counties, certain areas. Here's another one. There's the Smart Start. By the way, a lot of this stuff is not in the state exam, but I think it's great that you guys know as a realtor, right? As a realtor and as an individual, because you might qualify for some of these programs. Just saying. For instance, they'll provide you up to 4% for a first-time home buyer's amount that can be used also for down payment or closing costs. So look what we have. We have the Home Seeker, $10,000 towards down payment. The Smart Start, if you qualify for it, gives you 4% for down payment or closing costs. And we also have the Homeward Bound Homebuyer Mortgage, which provides either $10,000 or 4% for the same thing, in addition to the amounts provided in the previous two programs. So what they're saying is, let's say you qualified for the Home Seeker, you got $10,000 for down payment. Okay, the Homeward gives you up to $10,000 or up to 4% towards closing costs. So you use one program for one thing, the other program for the other. So you combine two programs to buy a house with little to no money down or no costs. Okay? And then we have this. A first-time home buyer and urban target area program provides below market interest rates and down payment rates as low as 3.5%. So New Jersey has this program again, that if the interest rates are 3%, maybe you get a 2.5%. through New Jersey's first-time home buyer program. And the down payment is as low as FHA. Now, some of these programs also, it doesn't say here, but some of these programs, just like NACA, these are the two programs, by the way, that are very popular here in New Jersey. This one, or the national program, which is NACA, N-A-C-A. Okay. These two programs come with an option to pay down and subsidize the interest rate. So even though the interest rate is 3.5%, maybe you can pay it down. If you guys remember paying points, right? You can pay points in order to reduce the interest rate. Some of these programs, like NACA, for instance, used to have a way to subsidize all the way down to 1%. So imagine, you get government assistance, right? These are programs, these are people actually granting towards these programs plus government, so there's a combination. And then here comes, I think on NACA, I think it's Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Citi Mortgage. If I'm not mistaken, it's these three that come and participate in the program and allow you to, again, go with little to no money down and very low interest rates, right? So great programs for people to take advantage of. Does everybody qualify for it? No. Not everybody does. But this is intended to low and moderate income. And the cool thing about it is that your first house, could be a 4-family with little to no money down and really, really low interest rate. So if you are considered low and moderate income, and check out your county to see what you are considered. If you are considered low and moderate income, go check out these programs. If the bank says no to you, right? Let's say you're trying to get pre-approved, they say no to you. Remember, not every loan officer works with every program in the state, right? So shop around. If somebody says no, don't get discouraged. Go somewhere else. Look for these programs. Okay? You can buy a 1-family, 2-family, 3, or even 4. I always recommend, again, that's why I cross this out. Always recommend that you buy a 3 or a 4-family, at least, as your first investment, especially when it could be little to no money down. Okay? Are there credit requirements? Sure. They also want to see that you have some type of, even though you don't make much money, low, moderate income, they want to make sure that you're responsible with your money. All right? So, going back to this. Going back to it. Programs available to promote home ownership. You guys good? Any questions so far? Questions? All right, so all of these are intended for urban target areas mainly, or developing areas like rural areas that are up and coming. So let's say Newark. The whole Newark is an urban target area, right? So everything here is considered low and moderate income. So these programs are available for almost every property here in Newark, as an example. Okay. Now, remember I just said a few seconds ago, I said rural, right? So imagine these programs available for a rural area. And then if you guys remember taxes, we talked about taxes and real estate taxes. Now we have something called Farmland Assessment Act. Now the Farmland Assessment Act allows you to reduce your taxes. It doesn't say here, but it allows you to reduce your taxes for up to 55%. So imagine property taxes at $10,000 and you drop it to $5,000 or even $4,500, right? Who would like that? Raise your hand if you'd like to drop your taxes or slash it in half, right? That would be great. Now, how do we get to slice them in half? Well, you must have land that is used as farmland. What do you consider being used as farmland? Well, let's start with all the requirements here. The owner must have dedicated the farmland to agriculture or horticultural uses, including livestock for at least 2 years. So the owner must have dedicated for 2 years prior to applying for the assessment. Now, does it say anywhere here that the owner must farm? Doesn't say. It says must have dedicated or used the property as farmland for 2 years. So I'm not a farmer, right? And I don't intend to be a farmer. But one of the cool things that I can do is rent the land to a farmer. As long as the land is being used for farmland, dedicated for farmland, right? For at least 2 years, then I might qualify for the exemption. The second part of this exemption is that there must be at least 5 adjoining acres, not including the farmhouse land or the living space, living area, right? So here's where we are. This section here is 5+ acres. This section is exclusive of farmland. This section right here, as an example, is where we have the house, we have the garage, we have the pool, we have the swings, let's say, we have the driveway, I don't know, whatever. This is the living space. That's what we have here, right? The living space, that's what we have here. This is the farmhouse. But everything else is dedicated to farmland. So you have over 5 acres. So this is at least 5 acres, exclusive of home sites, right? So if the property is being used for farmland, right? And you have the 5 acres, and you're making at least $500 annual gross sales, right? Then you might qualify for this farmland assessment. So what I want you guys to think is 1% loan, right? 1% loan and half of the taxes. Oh, actually, let me make it better. No down payment, 1% loan, half of the taxes. Who would like that? Right? So it's a matter of getting creative. What I'm trying to show you guys here is that there's so many programs out there. Everybody can qualify for one of these programs. Everybody can live comfortable. The problem is we do not know. Nobody tells us these things. Nobody comes in to your house and say, hey, Nidia, did you know that you can get a house right now by applying for this program? Nobody does that. So unless you take this course, right? Unless you take this course and then you become a realtor and you're trying to help, you're generally trying to help people, because these type of buyers, unfortunately, these type of buyers will also be transactions that take a little bit longer to close. The approval process could be a couple of months just to get them approved. To close, it could be 6 months to close. So these take a long time to close. The thing is, I did say that this is for low and moderate income, didn't I? Right? This means that at least 80% of population, at least 80% of population qualifies for this. Now, you can chase the 20%. Good. Or you can go after the low-hanging fruit and help stimulate the economy. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? Right? And I've been saying this for years. For years, I've been teaching this. But unfortunately, you guys, when you get out there, you're going to go to brokers and your own personal beliefs, plus your broker's beliefs, plus the current market. And barely anybody jumps at this opportunity of helping people becoming, instead of being on welfare, right? Helping people buy that four family that gets them out of poverty levels. Now, I'm not saying your first four family is going to do it, but because it's a four family, you have your salary, as low as it could be, right? You have your salary, but now you have rental income. You know what I'm saying? Like, you bump up a level. If you were low income, now you're probably at moderate income. If you were at moderate income, now you're high income. It could be. Or maybe it felt so good to get your four family, then maybe, remember, this is not FHA. So maybe now we're going to apply for FHA. And after FHA, guess what? Maybe now we're going to apply for that conventional loan. Right? A combination of these things will get you from one house to another, and maybe take you to where you want to go. So anybody that tells you, oh, I don't have the money. Oh, I don't have the credit. All right. No problem. Let's see what we can do. You see what I'm saying? Stop discarding people because they don't qualify to everybody's standards. There's always a loophole. There's always a way to get people to home ownership if they really want. They just got to endure certain things. Like, to get these programs, unfortunately, there's also seminars, right? So there's a home ownership seminar, which I don't think it's bad. Everybody that's going to go buy a house should go through this quick seminar. Like we go to timeshares, 90 minutes, right? They should go through this quick seminar that says, hey, being a homeowner, here's your responsibilities. Being a homeowner, this is what you should avoid in order not to fall into defaults or whatever. Being a landlord now. As a landlord, these are your, remember the chapter on leases? As a landlord, this is what you can and cannot do. This is what you must do. Right? There should be courses about this, mandatory courses to every single homeowner. Just saying. To get approved for these programs, you need to go through some type of seminar that will qualify you for the homeownership program. All right. Next, taxation process in New Jersey. By the way, I hope this helps even some of you in your current situation, right? Because programs are out there. Anyway, so taxation process. In New Jersey, all property except for farmland, or woodland, is assessed using the same standard of value, the true value or market value. So the state of New Jersey tries to assess at market value, tries. Every October 1st prior to the tax year. So we're going to look at the property value. Let's say it's New Direction Municipality. We're going to look at market value and attribute the new number for your property. So in Newark, for instance, let's say we're at 73% of market value. That's how taxes are assessed. Sorry, that's how taxes are assessed, at 73% of market value. Some areas is at 60% of market value, but it's still based on market value. Okay? They're going to figure out an assessed value. They figured it. Wow. Sorry. Whatever I was saying went down the wrong hole. I don't know. All right, so let me bring it back. It's assessed value And every municipality determines an assessed value, not the actual market value. So you don't pay, most municipalities, you don't pay, oh, I bought it for 500,000, I'm going to pay taxes on 500,000. Some municipalities will go as low as 16.5%. Some municipalities will go as high as 154% of value. Okay? Great question, Nina. Let me bring this up real quick. So Nina's asking for the farmland exemption. Does the current owner need to have the land for 2 years to qualify? Or if the previous owner used it as farmland, can he still qualify? So the key is that the property is used as farmland. So if you buy it, you're just taking over the current usage. It's not owner bound, it's property bound. So if you've been using the property, that's a great question, because there might be a question in the state exam. Hey, you're buying a house 20 years ago, was used as farmland. When can you apply for the Farmland Reassessment Act, right? And the answer is going to be within 2 years of using as farmland. It's not 2 years of purchase, right? It's not 2 years because it was, or whatever, because it was used as farmland 20 years ago. No, it's from when you start using it as farmland. I can buy the property and use as farmland 5 years from now, okay? The moment you start using it as farmland, you wait 2 years and you apply for the assessment. Okay, so it's not from purchase, it's not from ownership, it's from usage. Okay, for you to qualify, must have used for at least 2 years, right? Now guys, if you're not happy with the taxes, one of the things you can do is appeal, right? Appeal is cry about it. You're going to go complain about it, right? That's what it is. Appealing is literally say, hey, but they're paying less than I am. My other neighbor's paying less than I am. Why am I paying so much? So literally, it's crying about the situation and asking for them to drop the value. Now, when can you do this? There's a window that starts January 10 and ends by April 1st. It's from January 10th to April 1st. That's the window you have to apply for the appeal, okay? But they only make a decision by November 10th. So you appeal between January 10th and April 1st, and they make a decision, so the first quarter, and they make a decision by the last quarter. What you need to remember is that you're not appealing this year's taxes, you're appealing next year's taxes. Okay? And because the window closed, come January of 2021, which year are you appealing? January 10th opens the window. January 10th of 2021 opens the window. Which year are we appealing? We're appealing 2022. If you wanted to appeal next year's taxes, you should have done by January 10th of 2019. Okay? 2020, sorry. So it's always for next year's taxes. Tax liens, by now you guys already know that tax lien is a priority. So in the event of foreclosure, who gets paid first? Taxes, right? So event of priority, event of foreclosure, taxes always have priority, regardless of any other liens, okay? Again, this is just a review because we already talked about it in the previous class. We had real estate taxation, right? Talk about it. And recordings, that was chapter 6. Now, tax lien exemptions, meaning who will pay less or does not have to pay taxes at all. Would you guys like to know how to pay less taxes? Real estate taxes? Yeah? Okay, cool. Would you like to know how to eliminate taxes, like not pay taxes at all? Anybody? No? Somebody? Okay, cool. I never see Arlene, but I saw your hand. Your hand went up and said, yeah, me. Pick me. All right, so here you go. Tax lien exemptions. The following exemptions or partial exemptions from real property are available in New Jersey to properties owned or used by religious, charitable, or not-for-profit organizations. These are totally exempt from paying property taxes. So all you have to do, guys, simple, transform your property into a religious, charitable, or not-for-profit organization. You can own it or you can use it. Simple. The funniest thing, because on Route 22 here, there's a hotel, a Hilton, right? And then it says Oasis Spa right after. But it's not a spa, right? What is a spa? It's a place you go and relax, right? It's not a spa, it's a church. So the Hilton, or is it? Yeah, it's a Hilton. The Hilton has a church in the premises, and they have all these great discounts. Imagine being exempt from property taxes and having your business next to it. All right? Anyway, but it could be religious, charitable, or non-for-profit. Do you know who was non-for-profit until not too long ago, until 2014? You guys know what that is? Yeah, National Football League was a 501c6 non-for-profit organization until 2014, if I'm not mistaken, 12 or 14. Non-for-profit. Imagine the NFL not-for-profit. Crazy. People knew what to do. Anyway, 501c6, by the way, clearly says, so Felix is asking, the 501c6 clearly says football leagues and some hockey leagues are exempt from taxes. I don't know what happened to baseball, how he got kicked out of this exemption, right? Or basketball, but football leagues and some hockey leagues are exempt. That's the Internal Revenue Code for you. But these over here usually are 501c3 qualifications of the Internal Revenue Code, usually. Anyway, I just say that one for fun. Nina's asking, what are they now? They're for profit. They got tired of having to explain to the T, because the problem with not-for-profits is you have to explain every single cent why there's no profit, right? And of course, there's usually no profit because you juice the profit out of it. Like most religious or charitable organizations, they what they do is they increase the management salary, as an example. Right? There's no profit because the management salary takes up all of it. Or they buy stuff that they need, like a Rolls Royce, in order to help people, children in Africa. I need a Rolls Royce to drive around. Or I'm a pastor, and not against any religion because all of them have something. But a pastor that asks for $54 million donation to buy a private jet to spread the word faster. All right? It's a cost of the organization, and therefore there's no profit. That's what it is. All right? Have you guys ever seen this guy? Right? I don't know if you guys follow this tele-evangelist. There's a bunch of them. But the funniest thing. People take these positions of power because religious, charitable, or not-for-profit is a position of power, right? In any way. Because if you're saying, hey, donate to help for this or donate to help for that, it's a position of power, right? They take that and take advantage of it. Instead of literally helping, like grabbing the money. That's why I don't donate money to any organization. I see somebody in need, I help all the time, right? But I don't donate because they take advantage of this. Like, I don't know if you guys ever been to, like, I never do this, and I'll explain to you why real quick. So then we need to move forward. But never donate when you go buy something. When you go buy something at the supermarket, Walmart's, Targets, ShopRites, wherever you go buy, they ask you, would you like to donate $1 or whatever to St. Jude or to whatever? Would you like to donate? The answer is no. I would not like to help you reduce your taxes. Because it's not about the donation. See, Walmart is the one doing the donation. For them, is a tax reduction. For you, is an additional dollar expense at the purchase price. On top of the purchase price. You understand? You're helping them donate. So instead of them having to allocate money for donations, they're taking that $1 from you. Start donating directly. Okay? You can still claim it. Just keep receipts of whatever you do. Still claim. I donated X amount of dollars to this person, to this place, to this organization. You donate. Don't give it to them. Anyway. All right. With that being said, war veterans. Sorry, I have a lot of things that I don't agree with. War veterans and surviving spouses who do not meet, and I just lost 2 people on YouTube. I guess they didn't like what I said. War veterans or surviving spouses who do not meet qualifications for a total exemption are entitled to tax deduction of up to $250 a year. Okay? Now, congratulations on becoming or being a war veteran, right? We appreciate your service. Here's $250 off a year. Or, congratulations on becoming a senior citizen or having some type of disability, right? We're going to give you also $250 off a year. Your taxes are like $15,000, but here's your exemption, veteran. Here's your exemption, senior citizen. Crazy, right? All right, Ruth says she agrees. All right. By the way, I do agree with the idea of spreading the word and all that stuff. Everybody has to have some type of belief, talking about good and bad and all that stuff, like things you should do or not do. I just don't agree with people taking advantage of those positions, power for personal gain. That's all. And yeah, Nina, it's crazy how much you guys don't know, right? That's why I took this position and decided to become the instructor. It's one of the reasons. I'm about to do an interview and somebody wants to interview me, and that's one of the things that I'm going to say. The reason is everybody deserves to know the way things are built. Look at this one. This is another ridiculous one that we have. It says right here, seniors that are 65 and older are entitled to reimbursement of property tax increases, reimbursement of increases through the Senior Freeze program. What does that mean? It means that every year, if you guys realize, every year I must pay taxes, and every year I must tell the state, wait. I'm still 65 or older. I did not grow younger. I'm still growing older. Every single year I have to claim that I'm over 65. Every single year I have to pay, and then in October I filed a homestead exemption that said, hey, give me money back. And they don't give you money back anymore. They credit on the taxes you have to do at the end of the year. So they reimburse you. Imagine if you forget to file. Because, look, at my age, I already forget stuff. When you start getting a little older, you start forgetting more stuff, right? Imagine you forget to file for the reimbursement. Just so you guys know, it's not retroactive. Somebody, a student of mine says that, that her mother, 83 years old, found out at the age of 83 that this was available. Could she claim from 65 to 83? Not retroactive, right? So every year you must pay, and every year you apply for the reimbursement. And a lot of people do not even know they qualify for this stuff. Jacqueline, so true. I've learned the facts of life. There you go. Whatever I can help you with. Rebates are also available for residents who pay property taxes for residents and renters of low income. So I love low income properties. One of the things I do take advantage of is most of my properties are low income, so we get rebates, we get credits on your taxes. That's always great. Owners of mobile homes located in mobile home parks are entitled to partial tax reimbursement. Tax sale. If you fail to pay your taxes, you guys already know, so we talked about it in real estate taxation, chapter 9, I think it was. But if a property owner fails to pay his or her property taxes, then the municipality can resort to a tax foreclosure sale. So what they're doing is selling your taxes. Any property like, wait a minute, they can sell my taxes. I don't want to pay them, so they can sell it, right? If it's something you don't want, anybody can buy. I really don't care. The problem is, if I buy your taxes, I now have a controlling interest. Remember, interest in the estates, right? I have a controlling interest on your property. I own a tax sale certificate. It becomes a lien against your property. Okay? So if you don't want that lien to be there, then you must pay your taxes or save the property from going into the auction. But if it does go to the auction, and if I do pay for it, in New Jersey, you have 2 years to redeem the property. In New Jersey, you have 2 years to redeem the property. Okay? If you do not redeem the property within those 2 years, right? If you do not redeem the property in those 2 years, I cannot do anything. I cannot own the property. I cannot take possession of the property. I cannot sell the property. I cannot do anything within the 2 years. But 2 years later, if you fail to redeem the property, I can take you to court and foreclose on you because you did not pay your taxes 2 years ago. I bought your taxes 2 years ago. I now am entitled to foreclose on you and take over the property. Okay? So statutory, state of New Jersey, is 18% interest, so you got to pay me back. The redemption is you got to pay taxes and all other charges. 18% interest plus legal fees. And of course, the taxes that were unpaid. This is what you have to pay me. If you don't, pay 18% legal fees and all that stuff. If you don't, I'll foreclose on you and I become the owner of record. And I don't foreclose just on you, by the way. I'm going to foreclose on you and the mortgage. And if there's anybody else, so other liens, I'll foreclose on them too. So pretty much whoever buys this is really powerful. If I buy your taxes at auction, I can clear title. I can foreclose on anybody because I own your taxes. All right? So this is pretty much a win-win-win situation. Win-win-win situation because I invest in this. You either give me back with 18%, so I win with the homeowner, or right here, the next win is somebody here, the mortgage or another lien is going to pay me so they don't lose their interest. So I get paid from I win with a homeowner. Lien holder, somebody's going to pay me, right? They're going to pay me this 18%, or I get the house. So it's a win-win-win. Either you pay me, or the bank pays me, or I get the house. But somebody got to pay me. It's a great way to invest money, if you guys know how to do it. All right, as far as timeshares, there's only 2 things to point out here because we already talked about timeshares in a different chapter. There's only 2 things to point out. Timeshares, as you know, these are partial ownership. of a property, like we all divide the property. There's 52 weeks. I own 1 week of the year, or 2 weeks of the year, whatever I purchase, right? The thing you need to know about timeshares is that timeshares, just like planned unit developments, must be registered. So public offering statements, once they exist, and must be provided. That registration must be provided to the purchaser before they sign a purchase agreement. Unfortunately, a lot of times this is not given to the purchasers. But because it falls under planned unit developments, interstate properties, and all that stuff, because it falls under the same qualifications, we must be given 7 days to cancel. So guys, remember, timeshares, you're getting a portion of the whole year's usage of the property or ownership of the property, right? And you must be given at least 7 days to cancel the contract. At least 7 days to cancel the contract. Any questions? Give me a thumbs up if you're good. Great. All right, we're going to skip manufactured housing. That's mobile homes. You got to register with motor vehicles as well. That's all it is. And with that being said, we're done with this chapter. We're going to take a quick break. So it's 12:07, almost 12:08, and we're going to come back by 12:20. Okay? So you got 12 minutes, because the next thing we're going to do is math. If you can, get a piece of paper with you. If you can, get a calculator with you, not your phone. If you have a calculator, great. If not, then we use your computer, not your phone. Because a calculator on your phone is, especially if it's an iOS, if it's Mac, it's extra steps to get the same answer. Just saying. All right, guys? So we'll be right back. 12:20. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to end this session. I'm going to open up another one. So pay attention to the alert notification. Like and subscribe, and it will give you alerts. Be right back.